The Seahorse Effect by Sierra Steinbecker. Chapter 32. Last Day as a Family. It was their last day on Docilium, and the new parents decided to spend most of it outside. With a blanket, a packed lunch for the two adults, and a thermos of warm formula for the twins, Anakin and Padme played with Luke and Leia in the grassy backyard by Anakin's fighter. Their children couldn't clearly see things yet, but they liked the warm sunshine. Leia, in particular, her daddy noticed, would screw her little face up whenever a shadow passed over her. Grinning a bit, Anakin moved so that his shadow covered her face, but just before she started whining, he moved, and she relaxed. Her little feet squirmed, and he grabbed one. She kicked. "Okay, princess," the Jedi teased as he let go. A gurgle reached his ears, and he glanced away from his baby girl. Padme was brushing a stem of grass across the back of Luke's hand. His tiny hands flailed as he tried to grab the piece of green. One tiny finger brushed the blade of grass, and Padme let him grab the bit of grass. Then the boy tried to put it in his mouth, and she jerked it back. "Nope, not in your mouth, Lukey Duke." Anakin smiled at the scene. Gently, he picked up Leia from the blanket and rocked her a bit in his arms. Her motions slowed, and he watched as her eyes closed. He set her down on the blanket again and started to unpack the food. "Annie," Padme started, "after you and Luke are back at the temple, I want to take Leia back to Naboo for a while." The knight stopped laying out the food and sat beside her and Luke. "Why?" "I want my family to meet Leia." She ran a finger down her son's cheek, and he turned his face into the touch. She continued, "I want my family to meet her. I'll say I adopted her after her family was killed in the war. She resembles you more than me. That way, if she and Luke have to stay separated, she'll have a family, like Luke will have the Order." She laughed a little as Luke found her fingertip and started sucking on it. "I think he's hungry." Padme reached around her husband and grabbed the thermos of formula. Anakin passed her a bottle and rubber top, and she fixed up the bottle with slightly awkward hands. They didn't talk while she lifted Luke into her arms and helped him latch on to the cap. "How is C-3PO doing with them?" Anakin asked. The senator laughed. "It's been interesting, but they've sort of accepted him now. What about R2-D2? Annie shrugged. "I left him with Obi-Wan," he answered. "He didn't say much, only that R2 helped when he was battling Dooku, but I think he got hurt on the flight back. Obi-Wan had to take him in for repairs right after he got back to the temple. I hope they let me use him again when I start taking missions." He saw her slightly worried face and smoothed back her hair. "The war is over, Padme. They caught Darth Sidious. It's not going to be super dangerous for the Jedi anymore." He looked down at Luke and grinned. "Looks like he's finished. We should eat too." She didn't mean to see it. She was just getting a drink of water in the night, but she glanced into the nursery on her way back to her bedroom. Padme just wanted to check on the kids. But what she saw made her halt. Strong moonlight filtered in through the room's large window and outlined a tall figure standing by the cradle. Barely, Padme made out the forms of Luke resting in his blue blanket and Leia in her white one. Then the figure reached down, picked up the tiny girl, and held her close. He stood like that for a long time before his shoulders started to shake, and he held Leia even tighter. Padme heard a sharp intake of breath and tore herself away. "Oh, Anakin." When he came back to the bed, Padme was turned away from him so he didn't see her tears.